I am your host, Charlie McGrath. It is the 20th day of June, Wednesday, and we kind of flipped the script, I guess, a little bit this week because Eric, because of his technical issues that he was having in the secret, non-disclosed bunker location, was not able to join us last night, but the problem is now remedied, so we are going to bring Eric Lovely on, and him and I are going to do hour number one. Hour number two is going to be myself and Sherry Edwards. So if you're not in the chat room and you want to join the folks in chat, please go to WideAwakeNews.com, click on the second tab, and that will take you into the chat room. I will be in there presently. I'm not in there quite right yet. Eric, you in there yet?
Eric? Yeah. Eric? I'm actually in the chat room.
Eric's in. He's in the room. I know you have some things that you want to get to tonight, and I want you to get to them as well. But I certainly don't want to glance over, and maybe you already have this in your list of things that you would like to share today and what you wanted to share yesterday, but couldn't. Look, this Fast and Furious debacle, and now the wanton disregard of the rule of law, as far as I'm concerned, with we're going to use executive order and executive privilege to go ahead and cover the tracks of our Attorney General. I mean, I guess, Eric, I shouldn't really be surprised, should I?
No, not at all. I mean, this whole idea that the defusal or the destruction of the rule of law is something that's happening here in the present day is really, it's ridiculous. This is just a prime example of how far it has gone. You know, in all honesty, people don't even look at the fact that, well, let's start from the scratch. I am the individual, and I can say this with 100% honesty. I'm the individual that broke this story. I did it when I was on my last broadcast station. You know, I was the first person to lay hands on this story, to interview the individuals who had the evidence.
Wait a minute, that's true. And you know what, Eric, I apologize because I forgot that. Why don't you take us, what we're talking about is the Fast and Furious gun running situation that the Attorney General is claiming. He's claiming anything and everything but any fault whatsoever. Eric, break the whole story down because you do have perspective on it that is certainly unique.
Well, basically, what happened in the beginning is there was evidence that the FBI was allowing these weapons to basically cross the border. And as we started to break the story in the very first program I had two individuals that were basically locally knew the whistleblower, okay, or one of the whistleblowers that was going to put it out. And that individual had 2 or 3 agents that they were looking at that were actually thinking about coming across the line and testifying. And they attempted to first start blaming the FBI. And then within 3 days of breaking the story, I broke another story dealing with Fast and Furious to where these confidential informants or FBI whistleblowers basically said, well, all of this came from the Department of Justice. They made us do it. They made us follow these rules. And then it continued to unfold and it got away from alternative media. It seems that once CBS got a hold of it, once ABC got a hold of it, even our own community no longer wanted to hear us talk about it. They only wanted to go to the mainstream, which baffled me. But really, when you look at this, basically, they allowed the gun walker, is where it started out. They allowed the guns to walk out of the offices. Now, the problem is the real name was Project Gunrunner. They were physically running guns or finding an organized way to run guns across the border with absolutely no way of tracking them, with absolutely no way of maintaining anything. They actually said that they were going to wait for the crimes to happen and then arrest the big drug dealers and the big cartels because they had the access to the guns. So they knew that the guns were going to commit crimes. And, what this basically is that even when what this will show you is even when your judicial system attempts.
Eric Lovely, did we lose you? I think he was saying too much, folks, and they shut him down. Let me see if I got him on here still. All right, I don't even know if I'm broadcasting still. I'm getting a message that I'm not. Eric, is that you back?
I'm back. There was a brief burp in the ISP, and you'll have to forgive me because I have a bunch of second-rate moron monkeys running an internet service around here. So, but we won't digress into that.
All right, let me tell you the last thing I heard, which is you said this gives us an example of the judicial system, even when, and then you cut out.
Yeah, even when your judicial system looks like it's going to do something in favor of the people, even when you have judges or something that are so pissed off because an agent was shot and murdered and they want somebody to be responsible for it, it doesn't matter. And what I want people to look at is you have no lifeline. There is no president who's going to step in and say, well, Charlie McGrath, we're real sorry about what you did, so we're just going to claim executive privilege and we're going to maintain this information and you're going to get away with it. This doesn't happen. This is the most heinous cry of injustice because the man is guilty, okay, for aiding and abetting murderers at a minimum, okay? And the president and the White House is going to shield them. This is why I say when people need to look at this, go back to the beginning, watch it unfold, dig as far back as you can, look at the entire spread of what happened with the Gunwalker scandal when FBI agents, most people don't even know that on my program 3 days after I broke the story, the FBI agent who signed on to physically testify against the Department of Justice was on my program, admitted all of those things, and now has since backed out. So when you look at this, you have no justice system. There is no lifeline for you. There is only a lifeline for the criminals.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's a lifeline for the criminals. Now there's a House panel charged him with contempt. What does that mean, Eric?
Well,
I mean, it's just a panel, right? And it will go to a full House committee vote, I believe, next week.
And basically what happens is if they find him guilty, they can put basically a lien against him to keep him. In other words, they can push him out of the office. They can't fire him, okay, per se, this committee. But what happens is it goes to an ethics review board after that, and then it goes to, the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, to see if the Attorney General wants to take and make a criminal prosecution. So really, the committee means nothing because I don't see how the judicial system is going to prosecute itself. There's too many guilty parties here. And also, even if Congress removes him from office in a secondary manner and, passes and say, okay, by unanimous vote, we're going to boot you out of office. We don't care what the president says. He's not going to jail. He's not going to suffer for what he has done. And if you'll notice, these individuals that get these lifelines, they're removed from their position. And we all pat ourselves on the back like we did something. But they're given another cushy, rich-paid position somewhere else, out of sight, out of mind. And look at the White House campaign with the bald-headed guy with it talk about give them the wealth. I can't even remember his name now.
You talking about Karl Rove?
No. He was a younger black gentleman who was a devout communist. Said he was a communist. I remember talking about him.
Yeah.
I can't even remember his name. And they excommunicated him from the White House, and everybody's like, "Woo, we won a victory." Except he went to work for another portion of the White House under a different title, and they never told anybody. So it isn't like anything bad happens to these individuals. And this whole idea of executive privilege, it's insane on what they can apply this for. There has been a murder, okay? A murder of a federal employee, an employee of the people. It was a murder done on the border, so it now brings political conflict between two countries, and you would think that the American people would want to get to the bottom of it, but that doesn't matter because the president says no.
Yeah, and just for the record, I mean, the last time this occurred, let's see right here, I'm reading right now, the last cabinet member decided by a congressional committee for contempt was, of course, Attorney General Janet Reno under Clinton, so quite some time ago. But, more history, more things stay the same, the more they stay the same, I guess. They don't change. Here we go. We're going to use this executive power to exonerate the untouchables. Meanwhile, if you get pulled over with a busted headlight, you can be tased to death. Eric,
and contempt is a non-charge. I mean, really.
If anybody knows that, it's my buddy Eric Lovely.
Yeah, I mean, really, contempt it's a non-charge. It's really not going to be detrimental to you in the long run. Okay, it is a way for them to hang something on that person. Okay, we're going to charge them with something, and that is going to pacify the people. When really the body that's charging him with this has no power to arrest him, no power to imprison him, no power to adjudicate on him in any way, shape, or form, except to say, we suggest that the judicial system actually adjudicate on him, and we suggest that Congress should take action to remove this guy from office.
Right, and
So the committee means nothing.
Right, and reading into this a little more technically, if the House approves a contempt citation, there could be a federal criminal case against Holder, but history strongly suggests the matter won't get that far. And then we had a statement released by the DOJ. The president has asserted executive privilege. Deputy Attorney General Cole said in the letter, "We regret that we have arrived at this point after many steps we have taken to address the committee's concern and to accommodate the committee's legislative oversight interests." Ladies and gentlemen of the United States of America, your government has failed. We do not have representative government. It is dead. There is multiple layers of justice, of which, if you're listening to my voice on alternative media, you probably will receive the least amount of anybody. These upper echelons of political power, they are untouchable. They will destroy this. They have destroyed this Constitution. They will continue to destroy everything that this nation once held dear, and there is no justice coming. Period. None. They can do anything. They can kill anybody. They can get rid of everybody that's a naysayer, belligerent actor. They can kill border guards. These are poor sheeple that are working for the government on the border. They could be butchered in some kind of cockamamie scheme to entrap and try to prove that guns are bad. And then when this blows up in their face, it's just a matter of shut the hell up, watch the NBA Finals, and take it.
Well, and here's something else. Let's move away from the common man for a moment, the common woman, the little people like us, the guys out here grinding away at the stones. Let's move into police officers. Let's move into FBI agents. Let's move into any federal agent who carries a gun and a badge. Okay? What has your government told you in one swoop? That your life and your service means nothing.
Nothing. You're nothing but a bag of meat.
That's right. You are a usable pawn to be put out in the field for whatever purpose they want. And if you get murdered, who cares?
Yeah, we'll have an executive order. We'll have some little hand-wringing in D.C. for a few hours, and then we'll move on.
And and I don't know. I see Brett is talking to us there. In case you want to grab that,
I better check.
And manage what he's got going on there. But
all right, let's go to the caller. Sorry about that. I'm still getting used to our new communication system here, and sometimes I miss these messages, so I apologize. We have Mr. Dog on the line from the chat room. Meat Dog. Let's get you on because we have about 6 minutes before the break. Welcome to the program. What is on your mind?
Yeah, hey, thanks. I wanted to, I'm glad you brought this up because I drive for a living, and I was listening to the testimony on C-SPAN, and I followed it as much as I could previously, I think last fall, and I had the nagging suspicion, call me a cynic, that the Republicans aren't really sincere in prosecuting this whole issue because, correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe the Democrats are playing this up on a partisan level, but didn't Bush instigate a similar program? I forget what it was called, where they allowed gun walk or whatever, where they allowed guns to cross the border. And so, in essence, are the Democrats kind of holding the Republicans hostage because Bush had a similar program? Or is that true, or is it a misnomer?
Well, there was a similar program. You are correct, and it did come out. However, there's no hostages. The Republicans and the Democrats are in the same room, actively working together to figure out how to get away with it. They don't care See, this Republican and Democrat thing is only for you, the public. It is only for you, the public, to come up with, oh, well, the Democrats have this conspiracy going on and they're making the Republicans do this. And the Republicans say the same thing. Oh, well, you know, there's some conspiracy. No, they work together. They are a single unit. The Democrat, the red team, blue team is merely for you. It is merely to boggle the mind, to confuse you and make you not understand that, no, the Republicans don't want to prosecute. Neither do the Democrats, because they don't want their power questioned. They don't want their abuses of power displayed in public. That's what they're both working on. And it doesn't matter if it's the gunwalker scandal from Bush or from Obama, or Daddy Bush selling toxic agents to none other than Saddam Hussein. That's not supposed to be prosecuted. That is executive privilege. That is power center doing what power does. But they allow you to look at it from this partisan view so that you're confused, going, well, there's got to be some backdoor dealing, there's got to be some blackmail going on, when there is none. They don't need to blackmail each other because they're
all in the same boat. They're all rowing the same boat.
That's right. Yeah, all the Republicans are running the left oars, and the Democrats are running the right oars in the very same boat, and they're all targeting you to ram.
And they're going in circles. So in other words, this is just kabuki. This is just show, grandstanding by both sides. But I have one question.
Show.
I'm sorry.
I don't even, to be honest, I don't even. You know what? Here's going to be the test. Let's see how much this is brought up after, I don't know, the next 72 hours. That'll prove it. I mean, will the perceived saviors in the conservative side of the GOP start running ads about Eric Holder and we got to get rid of him, we need to restore justice? That ain't happening. That ain't happening. You know, because I mean, they can't validate the point of view of alternative media and alternative people tuning in to find out alternative information. They can't validate that by saying a side of the government's out of control.
You have the real possibility, Charlie, to actually see something like that, because they have to keep you within the boundaries of red team, blue team. Yeah. So it won't come out exactly like you're saying. Yeah. But the Republicans will come out and say, well, look at the abuse of power that the Democrats have come up with. Yeah. We really need to get more Republicans in there to stop that kind of thing. It's never about fixing the problem. It's about pushing you from electing one or the other. Stay within the boat. Stay with either the guys rowing on the left or stay with the guys rowing on the right, because they all commit the same criminal activity. It doesn't matter. It is kabuki theater. No, even if they come out and attempt to destroy one individual, if they're attempting to destroy an individual, it is because there is something for the political elite to gain out of it, no matter they're Democrat or Republican, period, end of story. Whether this election you're going to rally behind the Republicans because, look, the Republicans, they're trying to get old Eric Holder, they're trying to make a difference, so let's all vote Republican and really give them the ability to give them what for. It's a show. It's an act. There will never be a what for.
Wait,
oh, yes. Well, they might have maybe a small cabinet official fall on the sword, but I just have one question. The Border Patrol agent is the poster boy for all of this, but from what I understand, 300 Mexican nationals have died at least from these guns, and their lives, of course, are just as valuable as the Border Patrol agent. Of course, some of them are probably low-life drug dealers, but no doubt a lot of innocent people have died. It would seem like to me this would be a perfect opportunity for a legion of lawyers to go down there, either from this country or Mexico or anywhere else, and line up a bunch of people for a class action lawsuit that would hopefully bring even bigger publicity to the situation. What's your opinion on that? People that are injured and killed, relatives.
You could get a class action lawsuit, and you could attempt something like that. The Justice Department is going to take the same stance. You see, this fight being displayed on TV is just for you. What is this? What did they allow the Gunwalker scandal to really make it to committee and start to be talked about? See, this is the thing that people don't understand. They're like, well, if they're both on the same side, how did this happen? That is so. The reason why you're seeing it played out on TV and everybody's emotions are being uproared is so that Barack Obama, Mitt Romney, and Hillary Clinton, all three of them, are working together on the Small Arms Treaty, and they're using Gunwalker scandal as the point to force Congress to vote for it. This is what is going on. They don't care about justice for you. They don't care about justice for the people. They're using your inflamed emotions, demanding. What are you demanding? Something be done. Justice be served. Do it, do it, do it. So what are they doing? They're going to pass a treaty that removes the gun rights of everyone because of something we did. And you'll never see justice for this individual on the border who was shot and murdered. You'll never see any justice for the thousands of Mexicans that have died over the many years that this gunwalker scandal has been going on. You know, people think it's a new thing, but it actually branched out from Bush's original, which you basically had talked about. See, that's the thing about gunwalker scandal. It isn't a different program. It is just Obama taking the same program and stepping it up a notch like he's done everything else.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Hey man, you're welcome to hang out or get back in the chat, whatever you want to do. We're gonna take our first break of the program. Nice explanation, Eric, and we're gonna get more to the treaty and other news you want to bring to the program on the backside of this break. Guys, hang out. We'll be back in 5.5 minutes. Second half of the first hour, if that makes sense. We're past the first quarter. Now we're into the first half. Eric Lovely is joining me tonight, and he is wound up talking about, well, we spent the first half hour talking about Eric Holder and the pass that it seems that he is going to be getting. Eric, you wanted to bring a few topics to the program tonight, and I know you're going to weave these into the same genre here, the same topic. You know, this is going to be used to implement treaties that will do exactly what?
Basically, they will shut down all private gun stores. There will be no such thing as a private gun dealer. They will be, if you go to certain places like Pennsylvania, you'll notice that when you buy liquor, you have to buy liquor from a government liquor store. You cannot go into a grocery store in these dry counties and dry states and buy them unless you buy it from the actual government facility. That is where guns are being moved to in this treaty. And inside that gun store, when they call it now, they call an 800 number to talk to the FBI. When they call the 800 number afterwards, they will physically be speaking to United Nations law representatives who will determine whether or not you have the right to bear sporting arms. And when you
wait a minute, have you read this in this legislation?
Well, yeah, it's the actual treaty. All you have to do is go and look at the treaty the small arms treaty. Read it. It'll tell you that it sets up a United Nations governmental body that will organize and control all member nations' affiliation with that law. Therefore, what that means is that it doesn't matter if the FBI is no more than aiding the United Nations carry out gun legislation. That is the end result, that your gun legislation will be dictated to you by the United Nations. That's what the treaty says, the Treaty of Lost. So even though you may see an American face, his paperwork and his justification for everything is going to be a treaty based on the authority of the United Nations. That's what this is about. They are basically, like we talked about before when we talked about Kabuki Theater, or me and you talked before about how Congress is nothing more than a smokescreen. It's just something for you to look at. So, oh, look, we have a Congress, but they have no power. They are, right now, the White House took all of the power it wanted amongst to itself. And the rest of the power, through these 5 treaties, the rest of the Congress's ability to legislate or doing anything is being treated away to the United Nations. You'll have 2 authority bodies left in America, the White House and the United Nations. There will be no others. Even if Congress still exists at that point, it is for nothing. Right now, no matter what Congress does to the FBI, they have been stripped through executive order of their regulation authority and power over the FBI. So the Congress can tell the FBI till they're blue in the face to do X, Y, and Z. If the president doesn't say, yeah, go ahead and listen to him, then it doesn't matter. It is a zero-sum game. This is the thing that people don't understand. With the Lost Treaty, with the Small Arms Treaty, with the Child Human Rights Treaty, all 5 of these treaties, you are taking away everything. You have given up, you are about to give up, not you, we as a people, through our government, through the non-representation, is giving up the last vestiges of any kind of self-determination. Even the minuscule self-determination that Congress provides you, that is gone. So with what you see happening, you see the bedrock of our nation falling apart, but to you it looks like it's falling apart. I'm telling you it hasn't existed for 60, 70, 80 years. Right now what they're doing is they're putting the final capstone on. They're going ahead and saying, okay, well, they haven't revolted yet, so we're going to go ahead and take the next step and go ahead and turn all these rules and regulations over to an international body.
Is it coincidence then? Is it coincidence that you and I, a month ago, were talking about this new branch of government, this new branch of shadow government, the Atrocities Board?
Yes.
I mean, no coincidence at all. I mean, if all else fails, we've signed on to the UN plan, the UN mandate, to have this Atrocities Board, and if you are deemed, I guess this must be a UN governing body, if you are deemed not to be able to take care of your citizens, or again, a nation of belligerent actors, then that gives cover, political cover, legal cover, for action to be taken against your nation.
Well, if you actually look at the APB, and it's a really great example, I'm glad that you brought it up because it's a great example. What the APB does, okay, or is supposed to be able to do, are all congressional legislative actions. They are acts of Congress. The president has said Congress no longer has that authority. This body that I made up has that authority. Well, to get that body into creation, Obama had to agree to put 2 United Nations delegates in an advisory position on the APB. So you automatically know that this is an independent body that is above Congress and reports to who? 2 individuals, the President and the United Nations. Not Congress, not anybody else, not the Department of Justice, no one. Okay, this is the reality that I've been telling people for a long time, that the president is assuming a dictatorship role, and he is putting taking more and more power of Congress unto his office.
Right.
And anything.
And you're not speaking to Obama. You're speaking to the office of president.
Yeah, I'm speaking to any idiot they set in the leather chair in the Oval Office. It doesn't matter what his name is, where he came from, or what party. Okay, they are enshrining the office, because here's the thing that people don't understand. Through the Fabian Marxist idea of pacification through emotional movement, that's their main theory. So they can't say, here is your king. So what does the sitting king do? He looks at what you'll accept. Well, we're all about the president. If somebody hurts the president, oh my God, you shot at the president. Your whole country has to die. We got to kill all of you. We're going to bomb you into the Stone Ages. So all they have done is say, okay, well, we'll just assume power to the office. We'll bring power to the office. And then eventually, when they need a supreme dictator who will never be voted out, that's the last step, because the power is already there. So this is why we talk about moving the goalposts and moving the chains incrementally, just as the Fabian Marxist said. They continue to swell power into the White House. It's been happening for, president after president after president after president. You can go all the way back to just after the death of JFK, as to where you saw this sucking noise, as Ross Perot said. But this sucking noise is the White House sucking up more and more power, sucking up more and more authority. If you look everything over the last 50 years, every agency that the president has backed, the EPA, all of these individuals were powers that belonged to Congress through the Constitution. And he's taken one and away, he, as in the president, it may be a she one day, but each power has been taken from Congress and given it to himself. And each time they took a new power, they stopped. They looked around. They said, okay, what are the people going to do? Okay, they're in the street. They got signs. Oh, they went home. They went back to drinking beer. Oh, okay, we'll take the next power. And then the next power. And then the next power. And now you have, years later, people wanting to say how our republic is falling to pieces over Obama's administration in the last 4 years. Some of them,
and it's the same story. You're so 100% right on this. It's this. I mean, look. I told you during the break that, Don Harold came on last night, and we had this nice spirited conversation about, will we have a collapse? Will people wake up? Will there be a revolution? And, it bodes to his argument completely when we look at the fact that we get the exact same argument. The same people will argue the same thing in the next cycle as they're arguing now. It'll just be a matter of flipping the coin. So we can go ahead.
And, and I don't mean to cut you off, but let me segue that for you.
Okay.
You see, you're right And Don is right. And here's the reasoning behind it, and people just, they don't get it. There has been a group of individuals who have constantly been part of this movement. Whether you understand that or not, they've been doing this for 60, 70 years, 80 years. They've been fighting this good fight. But they've had one problem, okay? That they were attempting to work with the majority to achieve a peaceful outcome of their goals. The problem is that they are now understanding one lesson, that the majority is never going to be on their side, is never going to choose the right path. Now, the majority of people, you know, when you look at this majority group, they're going to accept what comes at them because, hey, we gave it the old college try, we voted, they had the majority, we didn't, so we lose, and we'll try and get them next time. There is a rift growing within the movement between these two groups because one group is choosing to take no action and play the game for profit, for whatever else it is. They want to sell, they want to buy gold at a low price and peddle it at a high price. They're orientated around financial gain. They view the problems in the system as financial gain. And if you can simply vote some way or another to create financial gain for the little people, it solves our problems. The other side of the coin, the much smaller group, the minority group, says, I don't want financial gain. I want to be able to lead a moral, ethical life based on justice. That's what they're saying. These two groups of people will not agree. And in the end, there will create a giant rift, and the individuals who want to play the game, they're profiteers, they will side with the system. It is unfortunate to say that, but that is their end goal. And so when this all comes apart and Don's view of it, yeah, that group is going to do exactly what he said. However, these individuals who are talking about profit and gain, you know, and you know, I hate to name names, but Don Harold and Silver, you know, some Silver guys and some other free thinkers, you know, which is it's hard to bring up some of these names, but when you watch Foreign Politics videos and you watch these videos, they base their theories and ideas on economic success, not morals. Sometimes a moral individual will do something at no economic gain to himself, simply because it's the right thing to do. A profiteer will not. A profiteer is looking to make profit, period, end of story. If he can't make profit, then he's angry. Or if he sees someone else stealing, cheating, and making profit, and nothing bad is happening to them, they are angry. That's why they're on our side now. In the end, I don't see, I mean, and I'm not saying anything bad about any of the individual names that I used, but these profiteers, most of them are going to fall to the dark side because they are generated, they view success in life as financial gain. They do not view success in life as a strong, rich community, a strong bond from man to man. They view it as it must be a profiting endeavor or else it's wrong. And that is a serious problem because you have two mental mindsets, like I told you. And the problem is that the moral people, when they can no longer see a way to morally exist on the planet, they will simply go to war with those who keep them from being moral. That is what is going to happen. So when this world without rule of law or the fecal matter hits the oscillating device, when you see this happen, this is the two paths that are going to be available in the public, as well as the third path of the wolves and the people who are going to take advantage of it and so on and so forth. You know, the thing that really confuses me, Charlie, is you hear all of these people talking about markets and profit and numbers and who's thieving who and how much is thieved and this and that and another, when they don't talk about morals or principles at all, which is the problem that you see with the Ron Paul situation. That's what people aren't getting. There is a group of people who followed Ron Paul that believes in morals and principles. They don't care about your political clout. They don't care about how many chips you have on the table. It was about principle. And the man showed no principle. Therefore, they are attempting to destroy him because they now view him as the enemy because he has no real principle. That's the message they're putting out.
Well, and you know, I know you didn't have a system last night, so you weren't able to listen to the show, and I'm assuming you didn't get to listen to the archive yet. Look, profiteers, the alternative media is absolutely, listen to me, littered with them, littered with them. I mean, guys, I'm not a big deal, but I'm big enough that I have a few people listening to me. I get the calls, I get the emails, I get the solicitation to turn this into a money making profit venture. And so I know you're 100% right on that. I am going to defend Don in one aspect, though. As long as I've been talking with him, I know he's a family man. I know he raises his kids. He's doing everything right as far as being a good dad and a good husband. And his argument wasn't on the profit motive. His argument was more based on we're a nation of sheeple that will not do anything until the power goes off. And that isn't a motivation, an idea that is motivated because of profits. An idea of motivation, or that idea is motivated by the fact that we're observing the lack of intensity, the lack of energy of our fellow Americans to pay attention to what's happening to their own future and to speak out, at the very least, speak out against this march towards serfdom. So that was the argument he was making last night. And you know what? It holds water. It does hold water. It is easy to get frustrated when you look around. And Eric, I know I don't have to tell you that. Matter of fact, I got to calm you down sometimes on your frustration of looking around and seeing inactivity. But to bring up the fact that there's people trying to turn this into a dime, that's a fact. That is an absolute fact, a disgusting fact. And I just lost my good buddy Eric Lovely, it looks like, so I'm going to try to get him back on the horn. At any rate, I think the point he's back. Eric, are you there? You're not here. The point of let me try to get this going here. All right, we got him back on. Eric Lovely, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, guys, I apologize for the pause. I can multitask. I just cannot quadruple task, and then get people back on and keep talking. So I don't know how much of what I heard or what I said you heard.
I heard you start talking, and then I was gone, and it really, I mean, we do see eye to eye on a lot of things. Now we have different hopes and aspirations and so on and so forth. But
unfortunately, Eric, I have to admit this. Unfortunately, the longer we keep doing this, the longer we see the erosion of freedom, the longer we see the swelling of power in the hands of few. The least amount. The longer this continues, the more I have to say I'm moving towards some of the things that we've talked about in the past, which is this is not going to end with a mass awakening. This is going to end with a mass disaster.
I understand that completely, and this whole entire time that I've been doing this is for that purpose. And people may not understand that, but see, I have never really. Okay, if you listen to my programs, if you listen to my broadcasting, listen to my message, I've always told you, this system must die. We must recreate. There must be a renaissance because there is nothing here to save you. And what I have predicted and what I have wanted for so long is happening exactly as I wanted it to. Because my message has been, prove to me. Someone go and call me, do whatever you got to do. You can do it now, or you can do it on my next program. Prove to me where the courts are going to save you. Prove to me where your politicians are going to save you. Prove to me what any theory in your head is going to make any sense and create salvation for you. There isn't one. Now, you have a lot of people who come out and say, well, you have to be the change. But they're partially right. That has been my message the entire time. But what is the change? What is it that we really want? Do we want freedom, or do we want some other version of democracy? What is it that we want? Because what is here will not last, cannot be saved, and even the individuals partaking in it who are profiting from it know exactly what I'm saying, and they have no intention on it lasting. The intention is global governance. That's where you're going. So it is time for Americans to wake up, smell the coffee, and realize all this protesting, all these parties, all these things is a zero-sum game. You have no victory in the course you're choosing to take. It is time to take a new course. It is time to rethink what we call leaders. It is time to go back and look at our forefathers and say, what made them different? Find the individuals around you who mirror those things that make them different, and you go with them. No matter, get your feelings out of the way. I don't care if you don't like someone's attitude. I don't care if you like the way they speak. I don't care if you like the way they look. You need to get rid of emotionally driven thought process. You need to think logically. You need to come up with clear-cut goals and say, you know, that guy over there, he's a loudmouth, arrogant prick. For a lack of better words, please excuse me. But you know what? He's 100% what I want. His goals and where he's going is exactly where I want to be. I want to be free. Then you glom onto that and put everything you got behind it. That's the only thing that is going to change anything.
All right, buddy. Nice summation there. Eric Lovely, you can catch him again tomorrow night, Lord willing, and his computer is working. He will be hosting hour number 1 Thursday night, 5 o'clock West Coast, 8 o'clock East Coast, right here on Rinse and Oracle. So tune in tomorrow for Eric Lovely. Eric, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Guys, hang tight. We're going to do our long break, and I'm going to attempt to get Sherry Edwards back on. She did some analysis of the infamous Rand Paul endorsement of Mitt Romney. She's going to break that down for us. So hang tight. We'll see you in about 10 minutes.
I'm going to hear that.
News Radio. I'm your host, Charlie McGrath. Look, I'm going to go ahead and just get this out here, put it out in the open. If you're in the chat room, we have about 60 people in there right now. If you want to file in there and partake in the recently discovered open topic hour for hour number 2 on this 20th day of June, I can't get a hold of Sherry again. This happened like a week ago. I wanted to analyze this Rand Paul. She did do an analysis on it. On him speaking about endorsing Mitt Romney, but she's also been under the weather, so I'm cutting her breaks big time because she's it's late on the East Coast, and I'm assuming that there's a really good reason why she can't make tonight. So what we got going on is Eric Lovely and I, and Mrs. Eric Lovely in the background refusing to come on the radio. We're gonna turn the second half of Wide Awake News Radio on this Thursday or on this Wednesday into an open topic Wednesday. So get on the phone, 877-342-6673. We'll go any direction the room dictates tonight. We are going to start with a little bit of news on the economic front. We talked about the destruction of freedom in the first half. In the second half, I want to show you how the destruction of your financial future is guaranteed. It is set in stone. It is happening. It's unveiling as we speak. Today, the Federal Reserve came out and is tried to placate the markets by talking about extending Operation Twist until the year or till the end of this year, 2012, and it was lackluster at best in the markets. It just kind of made for a flat day. But as we talked about on the program recently in the last few days, the prognosis of the economy is real easy to predict. Being a soothsayer in these markets is super easy to predict. You can be a layman's layman and understand that it is the Fed, it is the central banking system, it is debt, and the people who want debt are the ones who want more debt being issued are the ones controlling the market when we have these kind of pieces of information come out about quantitative easing, about Operation Twist, or other extraordinary measures. This is what the so-called, air quote, markets want to hear. Why? Because they're not free markets. Why? Because this isn't free market capitalism. They want to hear Uncle Ben has got everything under control, and we're going to turn on the presses and go to town to try to recover. Now, one story that I want to make a video on, and I've been working on so many projects with different folks that I haven't had a chance to. I'm going to try to do it tonight, is an article that came out in Reuters just a couple days ago. And this to me epitomizes the attempted continuation of perpetrating the fraud of propaganda onto the people, onto anybody that would listen to it, to the people of this country. This is a Reuters report. Reuters, one of the big ones, right? They own one of the corporations that own most of the news you get to hear. Reuters puts out the headline: falling house stock prices erode U.S. household wealth. Let me break this down a little bit with Eric Lovely here. Falling house/stock prices erode U.S. household wealth. U.S. households saw their wealth decline by more than a third between 2005 and 2010. The article goes on to say the median net house worth of a home fell 35% to $66,740. 35%, ladies and gentlemen, 35% decline in the wealth of the people of this country. And Reuters, well, it's because of falling home prices and stock prices eroding. This is a direct result, not a related result, not a coincidence or happenstance closely related to the crisis that we've been led in by these too big to fail banks. This is 35% in your future, 35% of your wealth is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. It's evaporated. It's gone. And it isn't because the home price is suddenly, we're just going to decide to fall. And it isn't because your retirement just went, we're going to decide to go down in value. This is caused directly to you, us, by a bunch of too big to fail firms that are literally breathing heavy and enjoying every nuance of Ben Bernanke coming out talking about Operation Twist to juice the markets once again. They are not going to stop, period, until the 35% is 100%. You will live in a system that is bought, controlled, dominated. You will be dictated to by corporate oligarchies, right? This corporatocracy will determine every aspect of your life. They're 35% of the way there in 4 years. Do you think it's getting better? Do we think that things are turning the corner with Operation Twist and quantitative easing 1, quantitative easing 2, trillions of dollars of bailouts, backdoor bailouts through the Federal Reserve to foreign banks, backdoor bailouts through the Federal Reserve with currency swaps? Is anything, anywhere on this planet, anywhere, getting better? Go ahead, Eric.
And there is a caller, and I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure it's CV1122, and I would like to get to her definitely because I haven't heard from her in a while. But really, there was no wealth. Okay, there never was any wealth. And you talked about it like fruit. Imagine the American consumer, or producer, whatever you call it, the guys who make the money, you guys out there, all of you, the ones who diligently go to work and so on and so forth. Okay, they're growing fruit. Okay, that's all they're doing. They took the housing market and they said, well, if we jack the prices up, they'll loan the wealth into existence for us to extract. So we'll run it, and when the fruit is ripe to be picked, we will take that fruit. We will extract the wealth that they loaned into existence, which is exactly what they did. We will take that money that we made off of you. We will quickly offload it into commodities and hard assets so that that is the wealth that's being taken. Okay?
Yeah. Did I lose you, buddy? All right, we're having a little technical issue there with Eric. Eric, try to get that connection going again. The argument is the wealth fantasy or is it fictitious? I guess we can have that debate, but let me tell you something. There's a lot of people listening to me right now that had a home 4 years ago. There's a lot of people listening to me right now that had two people working in the home, and only one of them is working now. Call it fantasy, call it real, call it whatever you want. A 35% reduction in the perceived value of a household's wealth is real pain. That is real pain. I mean, we can't fault people for buying into a system that we've been sold is how we're supposed to do things. We're supposed to spend $50,000 on an education and then go get a job so we can go buy a house and we can build up assets and we can do the same thing with our kids and send them off to school. This has been the system that we've been sold. So people, perceived wealth or otherwise, people are hurting because of this 35% decline. And it sounds like we have Eric back. Eric, let's get Vicky on because she's been holding for a minute. Vicky, CD1122 from YouTube. Welcome back to YouTube after a bit of a hiatus, and thanks for calling in for the first time. It isn't the first time, but it's the first time in over a year to Wide Awake
News Radio. In a while,
Radio.
yeah. Hey, guys, how are you?
Good, how are you? Thanks for calling.
Doing all right, yeah, and you know what, just to kind of, I know it's kind of open topic night, and I haven't been on in a while, but to get back to what you're saying is, there is real pain. There is real pain going on, and like you said, a lot of people, or a lot of households had two people working, and you're talking to one. You know, we had our own business 4 years ago, and things are totally different. We've had to totally adjust, cut back everything, and no, things are not turning a corner.
No.
And basically, you know, it's to the point, we're working, but earning, half of what we used to earn 10 years ago, and working part-time, and people are working 2 and 3 jobs just to have no benefits whatsoever. It's not turning a corner.
And Vicky, here's the heinous part of that is we don't realize that not only the pain that you and your family went through because of your reduction of 50%. I don't know if it's 50, but I know it's 35 because that's the average. 35% of your wealth is gone. And I know that, there's millions of non-persons that are not working. And I know there's millions of people who are doing everything possible just to keep their standard of living somewhat close to what it used to be. But the real heinous part, the part that just drives me absolutely to the point of rage, is we paid for this.
Right.
We paid for this.
Exactly. It's insane. It's insane.
And we don't even realize how much we've paid. We will realize what it means to go from 9 trillion in debt to 16 trillion in debt in 4 or 5 years. We will realize how much extraordinary actions end up costing us. But right now, we're just kind of hopping along, hoping that these so-called leaders will do the right thing. Eric, are you back with us?
Oh, yes, I am here. And let me tell you, Hey, Vicky, it is great to hear your voice again. And
me too. I'm glad to be able to get on every now and then. But I know your time's limited, and going back to the open mic topic, I haven't personally heard a lot about the Ron Paul thing, and I heard about the Rand Paul announcement where he was endorsing Romney. Has Ron Paul came out and said anything about it?
No.
Last I heard, because I went on vacation this weekend, so I hadn't heard anything. And the fact that he hasn't, if he still has not responded to that or made any comment to his supporters in any way, I mean, that is
a statement.
Yeah, it's a statement in itself. And the top thing that is top of mind now, I know you both of you guys knew me 4 years ago and knew how much of an ardent Ron Paul supporter that I was. Right. And participated in the Revolution March and was marshaled the march. And, I did a lot of things to give up my time. And the reason that I didn't support him this time, because I felt last time, where did all the money go? All of the money, the money bombs that were done and the Campaign for Liberty, all of this money that was poured into that, what actually did it do?
Nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing. And that answer is how did you get suckered again?
In defense of, I guess, Ron Paul here, I did pull up some stories because I remember seeing some headlines this morning about he's being quoted as saying, no, he's not ready to endorse Romney. But let's not be children, right? I mean, there's no way.
Yeah,
there's no way.
But
yeah, there's absolutely no way his kid. Right, his kid who used the momentum of people like me and you, Vicky, who supported the revolution, who supported the Paul movement, who used this momentum, the momentum of the Tea Party, momentum of the Liberty, the Campaign for Liberty, in order to benefit his son in getting to be the senator of Kentucky. We would have to literally be dumber than bags of hammers not to believe that this is calculated as a camp.
Oh, absolutely. It's not like he didn't know, Right. I mean, it's like some people are like, oh, well, he threw his father under the bus. Oh, his dad knew way before it was announced. He wasn't going to find out by watching Sean Hannity,
That's exactly right.
Hey, you know what? If he didn't know, that says a whole nother tale. What? You're going to lead the country and you don't know your camp is
Right.
step behind the enemy who you're fighting against? I mean, what, do they all vote and you fall on your sword and you're just going to wander around going, I didn't know, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? So to me, there's just too many questions there. But also in this housing debacle, okay, let's just take the housing debacle right here that people don't understand. Most people don't realize. When you get a home loan, you sign up for insurance.
Right.
Okay, you've lost so much more money, okay, because the insurance that you purchase, the insurance companies are FDIC backed. Okay, so no matter what happens, if the insurance company has to pay,
you're going to tell me that the mortgage company was insured to cover the loss of the house, even though they're still nailing me or writing off the loss that they didn't get.
No matter how much you paid, no matter how much money you paid, if you had a 30-year mortgage and you paid for 28 years, they get 80%. The moment you go into foreclosure, they are cut a check for 80% of the principal. So in other words, no matter how many interest payments you've made, no matter how much of that you've paid down, even if there's only $5,000 left on a $100,000.
I know that I cannot swear on the air, so I won't. But I mean, it's just disgusting.
Let me slow you down here real quick. The FDIC, the insurance company, nobody has done an investigation, but with all these foreclosures, the insurance company only had 26% of the money to cover the claim spread. So the FDIC stepped in and printed the other 74%. There is, beyond the shadow of a doubt, people have no clue what's really going on. And these insurance companies these banks, they not only did they get paid by you for how many ever years you lived there, not only did they get paid by the insurance company for 80% of the stupid loan, but they get the damn property too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's triple dipping. Yeah, it's triple. I mean, it's triple dipping. We've had guys like Matt Widener on. He's a lawyer in Florida that spends his days in these courtrooms suing for people who've been fraudulently foreclosed on. And
what you mentioned about there's what Eric was saying, there's like no legal recourse. I mean, they try to give you the illusion that there is a check on this, because I've received things that are supposedly from a third party independent review that I'm eligible for that because we had this happen to us and blah blah blah. And when you go in and you check out the fine print on the back of it, it's not that they're an independent agency. They're an independent agency supposedly hired by the mortgage company that you had the damn mortgage with.
Yeah.
Yes, Vicky, unfortunately, it's that bad.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear. But I mean, it's true.
It is true. It's a scam, and it continues, and it's not getting any better, and we're 4.5 years into it, and guess what? We haven't even seen the real tsunami of foreclosures, the grab for property, and that is wealth. Regardless if it's, fantastically through fantasy inflated with monetary policy, that doesn't mean anything. If this is your home, this is where you're raising your family, and all of a sudden you lose it, guess what? That's a real painful event. Unfortunately, in the year 2012, in the month of June, we're nearly at 1 million people in this country right now, this year alone, who have had to go through that process.
Well, and to me, once this topic starts, I just can't let go of it because there's so much more evil. The money that banks extracted from you, they then turn around and used to buy up all the rights and resources you need to exist. This is the thing that I'm trying to drive home to people. They want control. They want serfs. They don't care about any of this other crap. They extracted that 35% supposedly from you, and then spent that 35% buying your water, buying up your coal, buying up your oil, buying up your railways, buying up your airways. You are paying for your own destruction at levels that are insanity, sheer insanity. And it just seems like a lot of people they don't even get those basic little ideas that they stole all this money. And then they bought all of your crap back from you because you were hurting, businesses were hurting, they needed capital to stay afloat, so they sold off their resources to stay afloat in what? In a zero-sum game. You're losing the resources, you're losing the property.
Not zero for them. There's not zero for them. They're padding the nest. You know, and that's a fact. Goldman Sachs in 2010 came out with a report saying the investment opportunities of the future are going to be in public infrastructure. They want to buy roads. They want to sell them to people around the world. You know, they want to use these as investment vehicles so people can. So these two big institutions that shouldn't even be in existence. They shouldn't be. You know, and I don't know if this sounds Fabian Marxist to you or not, Eric. I'm sure you're going to let me know if you think it is. But here's the facts. Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, Citi, these institutions that we begrudgingly call the too big to fail, they should be nationalized. We've paid for them. They should be utilities at this point. You know, we're masquerading around at this game of democracy, at this game of capitalism. We don't have either. There's no representation. This is not capitalism. It is controlled economy from on high. And if the truth be told, we have bought and paid for not only every home in this country, but every student loan in this country, every auto loan in this country, and we've mortgaged not just our kids, but our own future in order to pay for this.
Well, I mean, you technically, a state, you know, nationalization isn't 100% a Marxist theory, and you can nationalize on the state level.
Okay,
but on the federal level, you cannot. We do have another caller, though.
We do. And Vicki, you're more than welcome to hang out. We can have two going at the same time if you want. If not...
oh, no, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay, well, we'll get us real quick. CV1122, that's the site still, correct?
Yeah, that's it.
And you're doing... how often are we doing videos?
Whenever. I haven't really done that many lately.
Vicki,
I hope to get one out in the next week, though.
I don't care how many videos you do, Vicki. I'm just glad your voice is back. I'm glad that your leg is better. I'm glad that, you know, your family is still striving to survive. It was great hearing from you.
Thank you, Vicki.
Oh, well, thank you very much for having me.
You betcha.
You guys are doing a great job.
Oh, thanks, Vicki. CV1122 on YouTube is her YouTube channel. Please go there and subscribe and check out her work because it's fantastic. Randall Steen is holding on the line. We're going to grow. I learned more there than I ever wanted to, Eric Lovely. Welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. I'm your host, Charlie McGrath. We are in the last segment of what is turned into Open Topic Wednesday. We had Vicki, YouTube CV1122. I shouldn't say YouTube. YouTube doesn't own her. She is CV1122 on YouTube, calling in the last segment, and we have Randall Steen holding on the line. I saw some chatter in the chat about people wanting to call in. 877-342-6673. That'll take you into the to Brett, and he'll get you on the air. So call in if you have topics you want to cover. We have about 25 minutes of talk time left. I'm going to kick it right to Randall Steen because he's been holding for about 15 minutes. Randall Steen, thanks again for calling. How are you tonight?
Good, thanks. I just got off the tower. We did a bit of tower work, but it's been raining here in Montana. So, you know, it's
not where I'm at, buddy. It's clear and cold.
Yeah, it snowed up on the High Line, but yeah. So anyway, I want to get to it.
Kalispell area?
I called in a week ago or so.
Yeah, right. You're from
before he's.
I remember.
Basically, I wanted to mention in my defense a couple of things he said. He made a few fallacies as far as what I had said about sound money. And, you know...
Okay, wait, Randall Steen, hold on one sec, buddy. Hold on one sec. I'm going to give you all the time you need. But go ahead for the audience and, to the best of your recollection, refresh in brief, the combo.
Oh, well, I had mentioned trying to bring down the dollar and using gold and silver as a fair trade. Whether, you know, I alluded to the... Von Outhouse and his Liberty Dollar, and he being put in prison by Ann Tompkins and labeled a unique form of domestic terrorist. And I suggested that we use Eric Sprott's PSLV as a clearinghouse for trade, so we don't have to use MasterCard and Visa, and we can repatriate our wealth and not use these phony numbers that are out in the market. And what I wanted, and he came up with a few things. We labeled me clownish and delusional, which is a fallacy. You know, by labeling me, he also mentioned communist China, which is an argument of authority. He alluded to Mad Max, which is a cause and effect fallacy. He represented my argument, which is stacking the deck, and to generalize my argument. But the reason I mention this is that I wanted to talk about MLK and Gandhi, who did non-compliance, and also who formed alternate forms of government to affect change. And what I wanted to ask Eric Lovely is, if we can't do that, even if we're the minority, if we can't bring down the dollar, right, which is phony to begin with, ever since they got rid of the dollar silver backing, if we can't affect change within the system, I mean, even marginally, or outside the system really, because we're doing alternate forms of government, if we can't do that, then we're left with nothing but, arms, because if we're not willing to trade gold and silver for fair value, then we're going to trade base metals. And so I want to know, where does that leave us? Are we able to affect change through, peaceful nonviolence outside the system, or are we going to
Eric,
turn to arms?
And Eric, before you answer that, I want to get out there, Randall. I remember the phone call, and I apologize if I think it was Warren on with me, and if he ruffled some feathers there, I apologize. I took Warren's statement after the call as more of a generality. I didn't feel that he was directed towards you. I know he gets a lot of comments on the things that he alluded to afterward, and it might have come across as an attack, and maybe it was. I'm not going to speak for Warren, but I appreciated the call then. I appreciate the call now. Eric, have at it.
Well, let's speak to, because he's talking about the message that I've basically attempted to provide for a long time. I've been telling people to break away from the system, leave the system, stop paying your taxes at the absolute maximum that you can, stop working with the system, create your own system, start communities, start referendums, start local petitions. What the locals want, you should seek and go after. The problem is nobody has glommed onto that. No one has taken that and really ran with it except for a few of us. Now, what is happening right now, Randallstein, is those are the two options you have. I can't seem to make it any clearer. The courts won't save you. Politicians won't save you. None of these people, bankers aren't going to save you. The police aren't going to save you. None of these people are going to save you. So stop dealing with them altogether. They're useless. They're just roadblocks. As Warren Pollock says, you're just a roadblock in my way, so let's go around you. And that is really what you should be doing. However, here's the problem. You are seeing a concerted effort to keep you from creating a new system and just letting the old system die on the vine as it naturally should. We have a very short window where tyranny is going to step forward, and we have the opportunity to step forward with a different path. However, that window is closing rapidly, and we are not doing anything to present a renaissance. We are not doing anything to build anew. We have some people who want to work together. Like I know that you've emailed and contacted me, and I'm still working. Just like Charlie, I'm very busy, and I will try to work to get to that. But this is that is really the problem is this community, this group that should be building outside of the unit and saying, oh, you got $1? That's nice. Well, forget your dollar. You can wipe your butt with it because I don't need it. I have this going on over here. And if you look in all the depressions and the wars, all these black markets and things evolved and so on and so forth, we're not seeing that transition now. We're not seeing the American people make that step. So by process of elimination, by our inaction to do so, we are choosing the bullet box. And I can say that freely because it's an opinion, but it's the writing on the wall.
Let me ask both of you. Since I got you both on here, do you, either of you, Randallstein or Eric, and I talked about this, I think last week, it might even have been in the same episode or the same program that Randallstein called, with, we do see, we had John Rubino on last night, right? He's a mainstream guy. I mean, he's MBA from New York University. He spent his career on Wall Street trading the Eurodollar, and even he is, he admitted at the end of the program that he preps because he sees what's coming. And he also admitted that he is blown away, even with his education and experience, that the system has been able to hang on to life this long. And it's been able to hang on to life because of the complete destruction of free market capitalism and the implementation of this global, it is what it is, global financial governance that's already in place. It always leads me to think that there's going to be something that happens that isn't going to be a national revolution, a national coast-to-coast 3,000 miles wide event. And I always go back to I can't remember his name, Barkovsky or whatever his name was, the Russian KGB agent who predicted this breakup, just like we saw these satellite states, the Soviet Union breakup after the fall of the wall in East Berlin. Do either of you see this? Because if we look around this country, we got in this a bit last night, we see a completely left and right coast that are sold out, man. They're sold out to the continuation of the system by design. And we see this vast middle area, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, and then into some of the Midwest, that is absolutely no doubt about it, they're more awake than the rest of the country. Do you see any kind of breakup coming? Either one of you. I'll throw that to Randallstein first, and then to Eric. Randallstein, still with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I almost want to force the issue with this dollar. Because I want to make people, go or get off the pot, if you will, But
right.
I think our situation is best exemplified with what Larry Summers said at Bretton Woods, which happened, I think, a little over a year ago. When I was watching all the clips that came on YouTube about it, and I was hearing him speak, and I spoke to Fabian for Liberty about it. He actually said that likened the situation that nation states in Europe and so on were going through to a daughter being held hostage, and that what wouldn't you bail them out too, or pay off, or not bail them out, but pay off the bribe money and whatnot. And that's almost like the process of Danegeld, if you remember from history, where the Vikings sacked England several times to extort money. And right. Surprisingly, it's funny that the Vikings in Iceland knew just how to handle that. But the thing is, if you pay this bribe money, they won't go away. You need to draw that line in the sand, and stand your ground and say no more. I think that's where
I get that. I do get that.
Negotiation.
I get that, and I understand your point. My question would be, is that you see that as even a remote possibility? This is for both of you. A remote possibility on a national scale. If not, do we really start to see some more momentum towards these secessionist movements?
Well,
Randallstein, we have a constitution in our state, and it's not a bad one. And in it says, it gives us the ability to exit from the union. I would venture to say, if there was a state, and it will be a state of Montana size or Wyoming size, a million or less people, where you have this influx of people seeking freedom, they would be able to affect the change themselves. There's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people that would be looking for this opportunity to go to a place that is going to return to the principles of a republic.
Sure. But then if you look in history, you have Benjamin Franklin, who was a statesman and fought for the revolution, and his son was a monarchist. Or you have Harry Lee, who was revolutionary, but Washington ordered him to put down the Whiskey Rebellion in Pittsburgh, and then his son led the Civil War. It's going to come down to family against family if it comes to that.
All right, let me kick it over to Eric. You heard my quandary.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Randallstein is right, but in the aspect of family against family. But yes, there isn't a small, minute chance of a breakup. A breakup right now of the United States, which is a democracy, okay, that is going to happen. But you will see What I'm hoping for is at the same time California leans towards siding with foreign powers of one kind and the East Coast lean towards the other, you're going to see exactly what you said. One small group of people are going to say, no, we're going back the other direction. And what I really look forward to is that other people in other states will see that ripple in the pond, that breakup of the overall plan of the elites. They're going to see that happen, and then what they're going to say is, we're going to side with them. And you will see, hopefully, one ripple turn into two ripples, turn into three ripples, turn into a massive tidal wave that just cannot be withstood. Right. That is the ultimate goal. But is the breakup coming? Absolutely. Each state will become an independent member to the United Nations or whatever the governing authority is. The federal government will break up and be nothing more than the American administrative arm of a global governance. So the breakup is occurring right now. Whether people secede from the Union and say we're going back to constitutional things, whether Texas does it, Montana does it, I don't know yet. I have a hard time focusing as to where the remnant is existing and where the remnant is first going to push forward and make its first gains. I'm thinking it's Colorado. You know, there's some moving and shaking we're doing here, and I think that we're going to be that one that's the first one into the breach. Now, will we take the first hit? Of course, because they're going to try to step on you. But I ultimately believe that the breakup is going to happen because each state and each population is then going to have to choose its own path, because they're going to be faced with the system is collapsed, the money is worthless, we have no economic future, we must choose a direction for Georgians, we must choose a direction for Utonians, we must choose a direction for New Yorkers. You know, this is what's going to happen. Some of them will go with the way of the king, some of them will go with the way of some diluted version of the king, and others will go the way of freedom. And so it's going to be a civil war event. This is what people don't understand. There's going to be a civil war event whether you like it or not. And it's what is going to be on the aftermath of that's important. The breakup is going to happen because you're going to have political strife, financial strife between states. You may even see feuds break out between states, things of this nature. This isn't going to be put to bed like a recession. This isn't a recession. This isn't a depression. We're not going to be sitting here talking about markets. We're going to be scrapping over food. We're going to be scrapping over land. We're going to be scrapping over water. And it is going to take strong-hearted, liberty-minded leaders to step forward, have the bullseye put right on them, and then everybody else say, that's our man, that's our woman, we're backing them, and it's for Montana. We're in this for Montana. We can't save the rest of you, but we're in it for Montana. And then what you hope to do by taking on your local fights is that you set a example that when Texas looks over there in Montana and goes, wait a minute, that little state of Montana with only 1 million people, look what they have done. What can we do? And will they join the fight? That is the ultimate question. That is the reason why I talk about ideology and I talk about rebuilding a future. Because all of this you see in front of you, it's fictional. It's gone. It isn't going to exist. It's poof. The United States, done. Will America rebirth itself? I'm hoping so.
Randallstein, I'm looking at the clock. We have about 3 minutes left. I want to give you a chance to air anything else you want to get on the air.
No, I just look forward to either joining Mom or joining some other group. I'm a migrant worker, if you will, right now, and I'm putting together the last touches on my prepping, and I just got my M14 tanker rifle, and whatever comes, heck or high water, I'm ready.
Thank you very much for the call, man. I appreciate you calling in again, and please do so again. Let us know, give us your thoughts.
Well, I thought I summed that up pretty good already.
No, I was saying, I'm sorry. Did I cut out there? I was saying goodbye to Randallstein. Randallstein, thank you for the call. I appreciate you calling in. Eric, with everything you just said there, right, which was a nice summation of where you think we're headed. The most terrifying thing that you talk about, and unfortunately, I believe the most likely at this point is the breakup, but it won't be the breakup for people seeking freedom. It will be the breakup you described of, we become these little independent states that are governed on high from a foreign body. This we see happening. This we see happening, and if you dilute down sovereignty enough, then it becomes less important. And we talked earlier in the program about these titans of finance and industry talking about the next wave of profit is going to be in public infrastructure, and chopping up and selling it to bidders around the world. This is the diluting down of sovereignty through financial terrorist activity that leads to the complete destruction of your sovereignty.
100% ironclad. There's no other way to explain it. And people, whether they want to argue with me or not, it's not, some people call me Swami, some people call me Guru. It's not. It's really right in front of you. You have to understand, when you look at the pieces, you have to state one thing. Well, two things. What is the profit and who is gaining it? And what it is sovereignty is being exactly the banks has been. Centralized upward integration. You moved away from being a king. That's what America did. America moved the world away from kings, okay, away from world domination idea. Abraham Lincoln, the British, and everybody else has said that's a bad thing, and they're moving you back in the other direction. They're taking your streets, your house, the land that's under your feet, everything, and they're selling it off to the highest bidder. Well, what does that mean? It means you don't own the soil that you're standing on. Therefore, you have no rights to it. Therefore, it's all about upward integration of sovereignty. The money is merely a vehicle to attack sovereignty. It has nothing to do with anything else. The whole entire thing where the Rothschilds talk about, you allow me to print the money and I control the world. That's because through the printing of money, through the raising and crashing of markets, they rob you of your own personal sovereignty. That has been the end game. That has been the profit that they seek, and that is where we're at.
Wow, like a true professional, you end it right on the music, Eric Lovely. I absolutely could not say it better myself. They're using the financial tools of terrorism in order to evaporate sovereignty. It's happened. It isn't going to happen. It is happened here. We see the last holdout of representative government in Europe, of all places, and we see them under assault right now. And guess what? It's going to happen there as well. The power will be shifted into the hands of fewer and fewer people until there is no such thing as a national sovereignty, let alone individual sovereignty. Eric Lovely, thank you very much for hanging out with me for 2 hours tonight. Randallstein, thank you for calling back into the program. CD1122, welcome back to YouTube, and thank you for calling in tonight. Guys in the chat room, thanks for participating with us tonight. Enjoy Jeff Rense, because he's coming up next. Eric Lovely, 5 p.m. West Coast tomorrow night, 8 p.m. East Coast. He will be hour number 1, and I'll see you hour number 2. Have a good night. Peace.